Neon streets, they glow tonight. Questions buzzing in the light. Cheyonne's got answers cool and clear. Traffic truths you'll wanna hear. Ask a traffic cop after dark, lighting up your mind like a spark. Rules of the road with a chill vibe, cruising knowledge on this late night ride. Brake lights flash under the moon. Sean's wisdom cuts through the gloom. Relaxed and fun with a steady tone. He makes the road feel like home. Ask a traffic cop after dark, lighting up your mind like a spark. Rules of the road with a chill vibe, cruising knowledge on this late night ride. From stop signs to speeding tails.
Oh man, I am trying to never do things last minute, but I'm always doing stuff last minute. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm your favorite former traffic police officer who wants to answer your traffic and police questions forever and ever. Amen. I'm here to help you, see. And what I do is unique. I answer questions about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And if you've got questions, I most certainly have answers. You know what I didn't do while I was trying to set up my Elgato Stream Deck on the new machine? So I'm currently running, what I've been doing is running a MacBook Pro. And that MacBook is amazing. However, that MacBook has gotten older. And what I haven't done is updated it to a new machine. So because I don't know what I want to buy, I realized that I need to try. And I'm thankful to my friend Rob, who said he's got a spare machine. And what did he do? He he set up a beer. He gave me his machine to use. I've got what is it called? A Mac Mini M4 that I am testing it out with. Yeah. Just logging into the magical TikTok business here so I can see your comments. There we go. Robert Williams, whoop whoop, and Nana says, "Hey," and here we go. We're in business again. I noticed that we got Liz who says, "I actually saw the notification this time. Awesome." Carl Freeman says, "Good evening, Sean." Both of them are coming in through YouTube. And yeah, Liz, I see the good evening, Sean. Thank you. Brandon is in with hello, Sean, and all the sad news. The ZR1 is a write-off. I hope you had an awesome day. I saw you message me about the write-off, and I was with my family at the time, and I shared the sad news. For anyone who doesn't know what I'm talking about, Brandon picked up a brand new Corvette ZR1, and he picked it up at the Corvette Museum. And then when he was driving in his first, was it under 8,000 miles or kilometers, he was rear-ended by an uninsured truck driver who wrote off the vehicle. It was originally estimated as a $30,000 repair, and now it's a total write-off. And that is just horrible. So I've been thinking about you, brother. I have. That's just a horrible situation. What do you got here? Mikey D says, "I have a Mac Mini. That's what I use to edit." They are awesome little machines. And as much as I like the portability that I have for my laptop, this is 4 generations newer in terms of processor for like $700. I can still do all my editing on my MacBook, but what I want to be able to do is make magic and stream without any lag. So hopefully that's what we're experiencing right now. I hope you are getting the best quality image, the best quality me. That's what I'm hoping for. Anyway, let's see who's in the Instagram. Cheap Pharmacies joined. Jim Richards, what's going on? The show, Jim Richards and the Showgram is watching. Good day, sir. Good to see you. We've got It's Me and BK Patel and Jessica Bizarro Sonia. Welcome. We got Bizarro Sonia says good evening. Good evening to you. Let's say where the MacBook came from. That's from I got it from my brother who upgraded, which was a good deal. Hand-me-downs are not a bad thing. So that's where I got the MacBook. Why do you ask? It's an Apple. It's a MacBook. You buy them from Apple. So he had a situation where he had an extra one, and you know what? I was there for that. But now I got to buy a newer machine because it's aged. We got the Decepticons Forever says, "Hey Sean, hey, how are you, brother?" Let's keep on scrolling down and see if we can catch up. It's Me wants to know how many tickets you usually give per day. Well, you may have noticed or may not have noticed that it says former police officer beneath my name. I don't give any tickets anymore. That's just a thing. I actually miss giving tickets, which sounds strange, but I miss giving tickets because I believe that tickets are an important way to change driver behavior. And if I'm not out there doing my part, who is? No, there's lots of coppers who are still doing it, but I really do miss the opportunity to help, and that is a wonderful thing. Uh, did you see the video that I posted about IHOP? I was all about IHOP over the last couple of days. I just got back today. I got back from a trip to the United States. I was there, and when I was there, I had IHOP. And if you know, and have been watching my show for a while, you know that I have been avoiding carbs for quite some time. And I order eggs because eggs, no carbs, right? It's protein. You can do that when you're on a no or low carb diet. And I was shocked to my core to find out that they have carbs in their eggs, but they have it for the strangest reason. If you buy an omelet, if you order an omelet at IHOP, they put pancake batter in it. Who'd have thunk? I would never have expected pancake batter in my eggs, and they do that to fluff it up. I have often added milk to my scrambled eggs to fluffy them up, fluffy them up. And I was not impressed, to be quite honest. I was not impressed that they use them because that is undisclosed. Nowhere in the menu does it say we put stuff in your stuff to make it stuff different than the stuff. It's unexpected. So I did really appreciate that the server, when I asked if there was, because I was worried they were going to put like hash browns or something. So just to be clear, I now ask questions everywhere I go. What is in there? Is there anything in there that isn't protein? And they let me know. Okay, let's see what's going on the TikTok here. Vinny wants to know why the city doesn't replace broken bike lane pylons because they're dangerous when they're broken. It's a good question. I guess that they're just trying to get through everything, and they have a lot of responsibilities, but I don't have a good answer for you. I mean, if you call 311 and report it, because you have to assume that they don't know about it until you submitted a report, then yeah, if you don't report it, they're just going to, go about it on their regular maintenance, and it may go unnoticed for a while. My friend had a question. He was wondering if there was a goal of specific number of tickets, and he joined me today. So this is a question of whether or not there is a quota for police officers when out there writing tickets. And I can honestly tell you that there are no quotas. I've never experienced a quota. I've been told that, you've got to go out and work. So if you're out there and you're doing nothing all day, and you come back and you say, when you're asked, what did you do for your 8 or 10 hour shift? And you say, I got coffee. That's going to be problematic. So if you have nothing going on, there's no radio calls, you're not assigned to a collision or a criminal investigation of some kind, you best be writing some tickets because that's what proactive policing is. Going out and doing your own thing when nothing else is, expected of you. So, what was my goal? I would say that the average officer who's a traffic-oriented officer is probably only writing 10 tickets a day. And that's like one an hour. An eager beaver like myself might have been writing 4 or 5 an hour. But that depends on whether or not I had free time. I could have gone out there and written 1 ticket, but had a 4-hour investigation, gone for lunch, come back, had a collision investigation, which may or may not have resulted in charges. It all depends. Every day is an adventure, and it's unscripted, so you never know what you're going to get. It's like Forrest Gump. Every day is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get. I realized today, and I actually brought up Forrest Gump for a reason, because I saw a street. I drove by a street called Forest Run, And I responded and said, "Run, Forrest, run." And nobody in my vehicle understood what the heck I was talking about. And those of you who are old enough to know what Forrest Gump is, you immediately got what. And I'm just saying, old. Also, I had to explain what 110 film was this weekend, along with what a flash bulb was, because I am that old and the people I was traveling with are not. There you go. My name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer. I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and occasionally I hop to the restaurant because I went there and I have to talk about what the video I posted with the truck driver who was on his iPad and rear-ended a vehicle. I love the comments. I want to just do a video reading the comments in that video because it was hilarious. Now, there weren't that many comments. It only got about 30,000 views on Instagram. Speaking of which, Instagram has been killing it in terms of views. I have a video that's almost 1 million views. I couldn't believe it. In fact, my Instagram account has tripled in size over the last week, which is weird because TikTok has usually been my growth platform. This time it is not. It has been Instagram, which I've always chastised and made fun of, but never in the middle. Never. Anyway, I'm shocked. Shocked. What do we got here? Randall Arsenault posted a video about e-bikes and e-scooters. Interesting. So did Bill. I wonder if they're collaborating. I have posted many videos on that. And there was just why I know why they're posting it. They're posting it because the city of Toronto or the Toronto police did a media advisory in relation to a program with the city of Toronto about micromobility and such vehicles on the roads of Toronto. Actually, I'm going to be on the Jerry Agar show tomorrow morning. So I do this Tuesday nights and Wednesday mornings. Now, Wednesday morning, we're joined at 10:35 by Jerry Agar on News Talk 1010. And we're going to be talking about e-bikes and e-scooters and all those mobility bits and bytes because people aren't getting it. And there's not sufficient enforcement to truly educate everybody. So it's an interesting situation. We are going to talk about it. We are. Okay. What do we got this? We got, was it Hell on Me 2029 wants to know if they can go 120 on the 401. I'm sure you can, but you could be ticketed for speeding because it's 20 kilometers over the posted limit. Speeding is anything over the posted limit, and that is generally not accepted by the average driver. They are under the impression that that's a good suggestion, but it's just a suggestion and they can do what they want. And that's not the case. So, if you do 120, which many people are doing, that is something you do at your own risk. Just going to say that right off the bat. Should you speed? No, you shouldn't. Do people speed? They absolutely do. Okay. Richard says, good evening, Sean. Good evening, Richard. How you doing? Good to see you, my friend. Richard's a bus driver in the Sault, right? Sault Ste. Marie? Or are you somewhere else? Am I confusing your location? But I know you're in Ontario. Let's see here. If you're watching on TikTok, please follow me, but also please tap the screen so your fingers go numb. Please let people know that you're watching. And when you do that, you're bringing more people to the party. More interesting questions come when there's more variety in the audience. You may know all the answers to all this stuff because you watch the show all the time, which is the goal. Through osmosis, you learn everything. Realized I don't have my iPad plugged in. That means I'm not watching not watching the moderator thingamabobber. So I will log in. So I have a different account that I can moderate from, and I can zoom in. Oh, by the way, Melody's here. How you doing, Melody? Baseball situation finished yet for the season? Or are we still have some baseball happening? Melody is a mechanic, knows lots of things, lots and lots of things, and shares her knowledge through the chat. Now, hopefully, in the near future, we're going to have Melody on the show because that would be awesome. All right. Clutch wants to know how retirement is treating me. It is treating me well, actually. It is nice to have control over my time. Now, that's not to say I don't miss what I used to do. I miss my friends. I was talking to Star Wars Cop today by way of text because whenever I'm in the United States, he texts me. I don't know what it is. It's like his spidey senses are tingling. He knows that I'm having good eats south of the border. Anyway, we were texting, but the fact that we have to go have good eats together. So no, it's really nice to be able to have flexibility of my schedule, but I do miss my friends. All right, we got here. Boom. And wait 1 second here. There we go. I want it to be logged in, and now I am. Okay, if you got questions about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff, throw them in the comments because that's how this works. If you ask questions, I usually answer them. Traffic road cams or Toronto road cams, how you doing? We got Canadian Crusade and God and Canadian Tarboil. I don't know what that. Okay, Brody Crampton and Trevor Ranja, Garrett Travis. I see all y'all. How you doing? Okay, let's get back into some questions. Decepticons Forever says, I've never seen you without glasses because I just clean my glasses. I clean my glasses on a fairly regular basis. So if you're around it, it does happen. Okay, we've got okay, we got flash bulbs for the old cameras. Yes. Did you know what a 110 was? Does anyone else know what a 110 film is compared to the 35 millimeter, which nobody knows about anyway? Because everyone's gone digital. I remember my first digital camera. All right, let's get back to this. Robert Williams wants to know why I retired because I still look young. I didn't retire. So technically, I didn't retire. I left a week before retirement age. I was turning 50, and 50 is the earliest you can retire in the well, definitely in Ontario. I don't know if it's all of Canada. And I did that for a very specific reason, but I did it because I needed to be here for my family. I needed to leave the service so I could take care of loved ones that needed me more than I guess everyone else did. And it's not because I didn't like my job. I loved it. I loved the people I worked with, and I miss them every day. But I love my family, and they needed me, so I am here for them. And I still do this as my way of contributing to the community. I still share my knowledge of traffic and policing with those who wish to have it, and I do that freely. I do it because I started it. But in addition to everything else I do now for work, I do this as part of my. We'll call this. What do we call this? We call this community service, not by way of it sounds like I got a judgment against me. No, I do this because I want to give back. And I do it with an organization I created when I left the Toronto Police called Better Traffic Safety Education. It's actually the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education. But the goal is to make roads safer through education. And if you want to check out the website, it's bettertraffic.ca, or you can go to askatrafficop.ca. Those both go to basically the same information, but differently toggled. So one is for the not-for-profit kind of environment, and of course, Ask a Traffic Cop is publicly facing for you to get information. But you can also make contributions if you want to support us. We do have sponsors. I should mention the fact that Barrett Legal, as well as the magical team at Diamond and Diamond Lawyers, they support the show. They believe in traffic safety. They want us to be safer on the road. They believe in what I do, and they are supporting us financially. In part, they don't. And it's not $1 million. Don't worry. People used to get upset that a police officer was online on TikTok chatting away. So I said, yeah, it's easy. I just won't be a police officer anymore, and then I can go and chat here all I want. But it still costs lots of money to do this. People say, well, you're just streaming. Well, you wouldn't believe how much. It's like $1,200 for one of the software packages per year to do this. And there's like 4 different software packages we use. So it's like 5-10 grand a year invested in stuff, not to mention computers and stuff. We got what's going on? Christopher Luttrell. How are you? Coming in from LinkedIn. He says, Sean, yes, good old 110. That's the film, by the way. It's that I used to have a little spy camera. It was just a little thing that clipped onto the film. Do you remember those? Yeah. What can you say? What do we got? Let's go back into if someone brakes checks me and I rear end them, who's at fault? That's from Big Boy Ben. This is a great question. We get questions like this a lot. So, brake checking is stunt driving under the Highway Traffic Act of Ontario. So, that's a first. Now, when you consider the fact that someone is doing something that is stunt driving and they cause a collision, well, they're going to be the ones responsible. But the problem is you need to be able to prove it. So, I really, really, really endorse the idea of having a dash camera on every motor vehicle. Whether you like, love, or hate Teslas, what they have is amazing cameras, 360 cameras on them, and they capture everything onto a USB key if you have one put into the vehicle. Why is this important? Because if someone actually brake checks you, you want to catch them doing it so that you can identify that it was them, not you, that caused the collision. Now, you still have a responsibility of trying to avoid the collision. But in the event that they do cause a collision, you cannot be avoiding it. Then they would be the ones, if you can prove it, that caused it. Now, there's a lot of fraud. It's a lot of insurance fraud. People trying to get paid, and they are the ones who are out there doing it more often than not. There's the dingoes, dingbats, dingleberries. That's what I was looking for. Who do this just to be a dick. But the fact is that there's the ones that are trying to spook you, and there's ones trying to cause the collision so they can get paid, and that's a different situation. Sophia, thanks for the love. And hold on a second. That's actually really great. Oh, yeah, thank you for the follows because we got a bunch of people who followed. Uh, Ray's Traveler says, told them you had a severe reaction. What is that? Hang on, going back because that sounds interesting. Are the blue plates illegal? Blue plates. You're talking about the Ontario blue plates that we used to have? They don't issue them anymore, but they're still legal. Totally. Okay. Going back. There was something interesting, but I don't see what I don't have the context. Will a cop more likely stop me for going 10 under or 10 over? 10 over. 10 under is not illegal. Granted, I've had a friend who was pulled over and ultimately arrested for impaired operation because they believed someone who does the speed limit on the 407 must be drunk. That person doesn't consume alcohol and was released at the scene when a superior officer showed up and had to explain to the rookie that if you don't speed, it doesn't mean you're drunk. Just saying. Oh, Ray's Traveler says, I agree. I was young, didn't want a ticket. Now we see the need for more. Not sure what we're talking about. Somehow I've missed part of the message. What's the most eerie thing you have seen on duty? I've seen some eerie things. I don't know what the eeriest thing is. I mean, Lake Erie? No, I don't know. Oh, can people suggest intersections that might benefit from advanced left lights? If so, how? I would say you could contact your local counselor, uh, your representative in the gov. But ultimately, you could also call 311 and make suggestions. I don't know if they have a formal way of doing it other than talking to people. But there are traffic committees, and the city makes those decisions. Um, I don't know if there's a formal process, but 311 would be my start, and they could maybe direct you to the right place if it's not just talk to your counselor. Nish Security says, "Hey Sean, Team Nish here. What's going on, Nish? Good to see you." We got Ryan who says, "I just saw your thing about that. Awesome." Mary, thank you for the gift. Appreciate it. Any gifts received by TikTok through TikTok go to the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education, which ultimately go to keep this show going. But not in the way you think. I'm not getting paid for it. I'm just trying to keep the lights on. Okay. Get the check. Oh, racetrack. Legalize pit maneuvers on lane campers. I don't think that's going to happen. Pit maneuvers isn't something that's very Canadian, is it? It's very popular in the United States, and I see some wild videos in the U.S. I quite enjoy the U.S. policing videos, because they do the cowboy stuff that I wish I could do, but can't because you would lose your job. Okay, someone's Christmas movie is strange. Okay. Hey, I had a question for you about cars. They remove the doors. Is it legal? I know Jeeps do it all the time. So it's legal because on a Jeep or a Bronco, they're designed to have the doors removed, just like driving with the doors open on a cargo van that has those sliding doors. Perfectly legal. You can't take it off a vehicle that requires that for safety, especially I would say ride height. It probably has something to do with it as well. Um, just removing your door is not safe, not the way the vehicle is designed to be operated. Just like taking the hood of your car off. Melody may have an opinion on this as well, but I imagine just removing. Actually, how about just removing the roof? If you take a convertible and you say, "Well, I'm going to cut the roof off my 4-door sedan and make it into a convertible," that is not an approved convertible. That is a modification that may not pass, or I was going to say cut the mustard, or pass the test when it comes to safety, because that A pillar isn't reinforced to the same level, at least not to my understanding, as the convertible would be. Okay. Scrolling. By the way, my name is Sean Shapiro. I'm a former police officer, your favorite police officer, or former police officer. And I talk about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. So if you're hanging out, ask some questions. We're here to answer. I say we, like there's more of us here than myself and I. But either way, Oh, Brandon says it would be cool if I reviewed police videos like Frank does. I really want to. The biggest issue I have with it is that I don't want to. There's sometimes when I criticize police, and I do that amongst police, but I don't like the flavor of criticizing police in public. There's a lot of it. Um, I may do it. You know, it's very it is very much when it's good, it's really good. Maybe I start with good ones and dip my toe into the concept of reviewing videos. I just don't want to criticize someone because it's not the way I would do it. You know, driving's different. It's based on law. I don't know what the local policies or laws are in the United States. You know, and to preempt every video with, by the way, I'm a Canadian, and we wouldn't do it that way. Like, I don't know how I feel about that. We'll see. I do want to do videos of maybe how people conduct themselves, you know, those who aren't in uniform, because I think those are much more interesting, to be quite honest. Cops doing, I don't know. Okay, I'm going to give it a lot of thought. What do we have here? We got high phones, high fofins, hip hop hens. Took me a while to figure out what it says. I love Jerry Agar. You go on News Talk 1010. Yeah, tomorrow morning, 10:35. I go in with Jerry Agar and have been for years. We've connected on a regular basis, and that's what's happening at 10:35. So 10 a.m. I'll go live. At 10:35, I'll be joined by Jerry, and we'll keep the conversation going, and we'll have telephone audience, and or his callers will call in. We'll have you guys if you're on the live stream. So saying, "Hey Tracy, how you doing? I have a moderator." Tracy's one of our moderators. If she's been helping out for years. There was a period of time when she was helping to moderate on the Toronto Police Channel. Then we had to say goodbye to moderators on that channel. And Tracy is kind enough to help me out on this channel too. What do we got here? Gary. Hey Gary, how you doing? I met a bunch of magical folks at the DRE conference. Let's see. Can I add you here? Do me a favor, DM me, Gary. I'll follow you back. Let me try it again. El Senor Carlo says, have you noticed a lot of windshields having dark tint? And I have noticed that a lot. I've seen in the premium cars, in the Mercedes, I've been seeing a lot of greenish tint, but I understand that that is baked into the windshield as opposed to a film that's applied aftermarket. And that might be how they're getting away with it, because you cannot apply any film or tint to a windshield in Ontario. It would be illegal. Just saying. Route 9, who I'm putting Route 9 into a category. He says, because he's been, he writes a lot of crap in the comments, but says, how often do you speed above the posted limit? But tell the truth. And I got to say that I've been working very hard for many years to stay at the posted limit. Set it and forget it. It's more economical. I like the economics of saving money. It's why burn gas to be in line with everybody else. Have I gone above limit? Absolutely, I have. How frequently? I don't track it, but it's not frequent. I have done it in the capacity of a police officer on a regular basis. As a former police officer, I don't have that ability to get out of a ticket that I might have had as a police officer. So very rarely, and usually it's because I'm trying to get the license plate to report someone to the OBP. Okay. What is this? Ranja got a ticket, got a speed camera ticket, lost that ticket. How do I pay it now? It was in Toronto. I would go to the office, the Ontario, what's it called? Service Ontario. They should be able to look it up. I would say that's probably your best bet. Melody played the final baseball game in her league, won 14-10, took third place in the tourney. Awesome. That means we can actually get you on the show real soon, because Melody's been stuck playing on Tuesday nights, which kind of messes up the whole concept of going online. Let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. Yes, can you believe it's almost a year? Like days away from being a year since I was on the job. It is actually a shock. Oh, Brandon says, recently had the pleasure of meeting, was this? Running into Cam Woolley's awesome. I get that. I have the benefit of seeing him on a somewhat regular basis, or I have had a somewhat regular interaction. I should call him and just say hello. It's been a while. It's probably coming up on a year since I've seen him. I think I was still a copper when I last ran into him. So as frequent as I say, I see him online. It feels like I see him all the time because he creates content for Diamond and Diamond Lawyers, and Diamond and Diamond Lawyers are also sponsors of this show. So my content and his content, they mingle on screen. But we should do stuff together. Okay. Boom. Toronto Road Cam says I have photos of the crashed subway cars I took on a 110. Come on, really? Oh wow, that's amazing. Yeah, 110 was all I had as a kid when I first got into photography. Melody has 110 cameras and 35 and flash bulbs. Okay. 1990. I wonder if 19 I bet you that was the crash that my old staff sergeant has a placard for. Okay. Scrolling. Okay. Somebody said hobby. It definitely hobby is I think a good word. It is a hobby. I mean, it's a hobby. It's a passion. Traffic safety is a passion. It's better than a hobby. Hey, if you're watching and you don't know what's going on here, I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. Trying to catch up in the comments because there's lots of them. And if you add a cue, I know it's a question as opposed to dialogue, so that's helpful. Root says you gotta love it when the cops pretend that they follow the rules 100%. Nobody follows 100% of the rules. Cops are exempt from most of the rules, and I, as a former police officer, do try and follow all of the rules. Now, have I messed up? Sure, I have. Either I've not noticed I was going faster than I was supposed to. Human, we're all human. I'm not saying someone's a bad person when they break the rules, but if you're intentionally doing 200 kilometers an hour, you deserve not only a ticket, you deserve bracelets that are matching on your way to the police station and possibly a very bumpy ride there. Like, I don't know what will convey a learning experience. I don't know if it's just enough to give someone a ticket. Maybe at a certain speed, you get a slap in the face. Would that work? Would that be an effective thing? Like one of those where have you seen the big guy? There's a big I think he's a Korean guy, Korean or Japanese, and he slaps a guy in the back and it leaves a handprint. If that was the handprint on someone's face, maybe it would make a difference. Now, I'm not suggesting it should be an assault. I'm saying that maybe the law should be passed that allows someone with a really big mitt to slap you in the face for doing stupid stuff. There's a comedian whom, although he George Carlin, I'm talking about George Carlin, and he hated police from the sounds of it, and that really dropped his value in my books in a tremendous way when I found out that. 'Cause I loved his humor until I found out he was anti-police. But the reason I bring him up is he wanted to have a law passed that allowed the slapping of stupid people, and he says the only problem with that is that you'd be slapping people all day long. You get a real workout. But yeah, there's some stuff like criminal stupid. Yeah, they deserve to be slapped. Okay. How does it feel to chasing a Hellcat? I have no idea. I've never chased a Hellcat. What do we got here? How many times have you really have a problem with police Route 9? What is your issue? I've never been pulled over. That's not true. I've been pulled over maybe twice as a police officer and did not receive a ticket. Do you know how many people I've pulled over and not given a ticket? Lots. You know why? Because not every interaction with police resolves in a ticket. Doesn't have to happen. Okay. But I love how anti-police you are. I mean, you really fit the mold. Okay, what is this? Bizarro. Yes, and thank you, Bizarro Sonia. I am on 4 different platforms. Well, actually, is it 5 platforms? Not all of them are as busy, but yeah. What do we got here? So many people on TikTok that yes, it truly busier, generally busier. Like fewer people on Instagram during the live stream, but the views have been crazy on Instagram. Okay, I think we're caught up on Instagram until that. Let me get back in here. Toronto Rocams had a 110 camera keychain. I'm sure I had one too. Actually, I think I got it from the It Store. Remember the It Store? It was amazing. Okay. Why do we need licenses or something in order to drive a small residential trailer? How do you drive a residential trailer? I mean, tow a resident? How do you drive a trailer? I'm confused by your question and your username. Okay. Deborah's Arc or Deborah's Arc. I don't know I'm assuming it's Deborah's Arc. I got a ticket for a rolling stop over a year ago. Still haven't heard anything timeline. If you haven't heard, anything. Like you got a ticket, you filed for a defense, and you want to go to court, you should have heard something. Although it could take a year to hear something. I would call the courts and find out what's going on. Maybe they didn't file. Maybe they didn't submit the paperwork. Maybe there was a hiccup. So find out what's going on. Maybe they sent it to an old address. If you didn't update properly, there could be so many reasons. There was a strike. Maybe some of the mail got missed. You are still responsible for it until you're confirmed otherwise. Okay. Oh yeah. Ray's Traveler was talking about a reaction. Yeah, they have to disclose everything. They should have. I don't know how they get away with putting egg in, well, like how they do that, but it's the states. They can also sell you an uncooked burger, right? People don't realize that in Canada you cannot sell a rare hamburger. You can sell a rare hamburger in the states. You can have it any temperature you want, which is so weird. Like, how do you want it cooked? I'm like, cooked. Like, I don't know. I'm a Canadian. Cook it. People don't understand until you've experienced the question of how do you want your burger cooked. I'm like, are there any options? So weird, so weird. Uh, I like Liz's suggestion of Benny Hill style of slap. Maybe that's a good one. I like that Melody jumped onto how do you drive a trailer. Connor Appel wants to know what my thoughts are on castle laws. I'm a big fan of Americans' ability to defend themselves, their property, and their families, and so on. So I think we need better laws. I think that the laws here were based on a different time, and we need more. So, and on that topic, we have Bizarro Sonia who has a question. Is it legal to carry on your person pepper spray from Amazon that's meant for dogs and coyotes? Well, the answer is if it's dog or coyote spray, that is legal to carry. You can carry dog repellent, bears. Well, bear spray is like just basically the same thing, but in a giant fire extinguisher size. But yeah, you can totally carry dog repellent that's properly labeled as such, because if you have pepper spray for human defense, well, that's not lawful because, and it may not even have the appropriate content. Like if you buy it in the States and bring it across, it can have CS tear gas, which carries like a 1 year sentence for it's a prohibited item. It's different than dog repellent. So dog repellent is just chloris capsum. Did I say that right? And it is for using against animals. Now, let's say you get attacked by a human, a big animal, and you spray it against them. That becomes a weapon of opportunity. You had carried it for the purposes of defending yourself against an animal, but you were attacked by a human, and the only thing you had to prevent yourself from being overcome is to utilize that weapon of opportunity. It's like saying I carry a pencil for writing, but I stabbed him in the eye with the pencil because that's the only thing I had. That is a weapon of opportunity. You didn't carry it with the intention to use it as a weapon. You used it because you had nothing else to use, and that is part of a defense. You could still get charged. You can for if you use pepper spray, dog repellent against a human. You have deployed a noxious substance against a human. You did it in self defense. You may or may not be charged for it. I think the tides are turning. I think we're getting to the point where the courts are finally going to figure out that there's bad people out there and that the good people of Canada deserve the right to defend themselves and not ruin their lives by doing so. Because a lot of you look at the people who used firearms in the defense of themselves and their property, well, they're being arrested and they have to hire lawyers, and their businesses are negatively impacted, and their lives are negatively impacted. But all they did was defend themselves and their families, and even the Premier of Ontario said the same thing. I'm not saying something radical to say that we should be able to defend ourselves. If I was able to carry a firearm 24/7, I would. I have no issues with firearms. I'm trained on how to use them. I had a psych test when I was, and I've carried firearms in the course of my duties for years. So why shouldn't I be able to? I know how to use them, and I believe in a good guy with a gun is the best way to stop a bad guy with a gun. Just saying. Okay. Okay. So I answered the second part of their question. What's the dumbest thing you pulled someone over for? Is there a category of dumb that is different than other categories of dumb? I mean, here's my thing. If you're breaking dumb laws, like a law that is so simple, like stopping for a stop sign, if you can't stop for a stop sign, that's an important law, and it was dumb that someone did it. They deserve the ticket. I don't know. I don't know if there's anything really riding a gas powered bicycle. That's dumb. Why would you do that? Why would you think that's not a motorcycle? I don't know. Listen. I used to. heavily enforce so many things, and they're all important. So I wouldn't categorize them as dumb. I don't know what else I can. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else I can say. Bizarro Sonia says, I wanted my daughter to carry it on the bus because, to be honest, the city is not safe. The city is not safe. The cities around the world aren't safe. Did you see the story out of the UK where a young lady was attacked and I think she brandished an axe because women, to feel safe around the globe, are now having to arm themselves because it is such a dangerous place for them to be, the world that is. And then I think she got arrested for it, but she was attacked. From my understanding, I didn't read the whole story. I'm going by the Coles notes and all the videos I'm watching on Instagram. I think she defended herself or brandished a weapon to avoid being attacked. Whether the attack, I don't know, defended themselves and got arrested. Things in the UK are upside down. I don't think I'll be going there anytime soon. What is this? Why some people envy my driving license? It's very mean. I don't know what we're talking about. What if I fall out? Oh, what if you fall out of a open door? You probably weren't wearing your seatbelt. Why are wheel spacers considered an illegal car modification? Because they're stupid. They're first of all, wheel spacers, if they're utilized so you can use a non-standard or a universal rim to make it fit on your vehicle so there's no rub, I get. If you're putting wheel spacers on so the wheels stick out, well, it's illegal to have them stick out, one. Two, you're adding stress in places you weren't supposed to have stress. You're not utilizing the vehicle in a way that it was designed. You've modified it in a place that you can have a failure, a mechanical failure. Yeah, that's the thing. They're not unless your wheels stick out. Oh, Melody says they're not illegal unless your wheels stick out beyond the fender coverage. I think they should be illegal if you're not using them for the purpose of utilizing the wheels as I described. And because I think about the mechanical failure, if Melody, the mechanic, says it's not a mechanical failure thing, then simply the wheel sticking out being illegal because of the fact that they're sticking out, we'll stick with that because she knows stuff and things. I've never, as a police officer, I've never gone and said, "Do you have wheel spacers?" No, I saw the wheel sticking out because it looks dumb and dangerous. What if you have a convertible, blinkers don't work, but you use hand signals? That's actually a requirement under law. If you don't have functional signals, you have to use the hand signals. And that's for any vehicle, actually. In fact, if you have a right-hand drive car, you also need a placard on the back of your vehicle saying that right-hand drive so they know where to look for those hand signals. Okay. What do we got here? Does your pair time matter if you pass? No. Like, well, first of all, pair I think is RCMP only, but if you pass, you pass. If you pass quick, faster than somebody else, you still just passed, pass or fail. I don't think you get any benefit beyond that. Urban Orbit wants to know if I'll be back at the auto show with the Toronto Police this year. I don't know if they're going, and I don't. Well, next year I should say. It's in February, right? I would love to go back. We'll see what the story is. The biggest problem for me is that my time is getting more and more rare. The free time anyway. Like I spent almost a week with them last year. I really wanted to help transition, be around, help out, and see the people who had been supporting me in terms of audience when I was with the Toronto Police and meet people in person. I'd love to do maybe I'll do an event. Like I'll go there and I'll do something. But I don't think I'll be there every day. Maybe a couple of days, maybe. Definitely one day for sure. That's it. I'll be there media day, maybe plus one day. What if you had a convertible bikers? No. Okay, we got that. Hans has strange questions. He'd like to know if anyone who has been pulled over ever uh, had flatulence issues. I wonder if you mean intentionally or unintentionally. People have done all sorts of things unintentionally, whether they do it automatically, I don't, or intentionally, I don't know. Yin and Yang wants to know if I happen to be related to Ben Shapiro. Not that I'm aware of, although he's now doing a Ben Shapiro or Ben After Dark, and I think it's because he's watching my show. And if he is, hey Ben, how you doing? I've been confused with Ben. I ordered business cards not for this not for this year's the 2025 auto show, but for the 2024 auto show. And the email response to yes, they'll be ready was written to Ben. So people confuse us all the time, and we look almost exactly the same. So I totally understand it. I just got my first car, and I see digital licenses for Ontario. How does that work? Is it recognized? You see digital licenses for Ontario where? There are no digital licenses for Ontario at this time. There was discussion about having them. They've yet to create them. That, as far as I know, if there's something available, it's news to me. What's this? Oh, something that I have to talk. Something that's what is this? It says why? So this is Nats says, why are car manufacturers able to design a dash where you can touch all the apps you have on your phone, but the traffic states you cannot use your phone while driving? It's the same distraction. You can't or should not be able to utilize all of the same apps. You have a simplified interface with CarPlay or Android Auto. It's not a one for one interface. If you violate, if you aftermarket mod and you make it so you can watch Netflix, well, that's illegal. You can still be charged. Let's see here. Oh, okay. So Tracy says they're not available yet in Ontario, talking about the digital licenses. They were talking about having those like right after the um, after the vid. They were talking about it. It's supposed to be end of that year. Deborah wants to know how long before a ticket is considered stale. It's never so stale as it, like, you always have to get verification that it's complete. You can't just, I didn't get anything by the mail. What's going to happen is you might get convicted if you hear nothing. And it might be because of a delivery issue. The other side of the situation is that if you go to court and your case is delayed by the other side 18 months, and you could usually do an 11B application saying it's been unfair. That's a thing. What is this? 4 kids in a Porsche. Good to see you, my friend. Long time no see. He says, what laws do you think are too harsh and would change? For me, I would delineate between using handheld phones stopped at a light versus on a highway. One is clearly riskier than another with the same ticket. I think people have such a huge problem. Like, first of all, I think that I think we could leave them where they are right now, using them at the $615 charge could be for using it at a light. But I think that using it while driving has to be raised to the same as stunt driving, where you lose your car and your license for a period of time. I think that we need to increase it because people are not getting the message. Remember, this is a charge that started off at $125, I think, and then went to 175 before it got to 615. It was just a cash ticket. Like, there was no points in it originally. So I really think that if the rule says you can't touch it, don't fricking touch it. Why do we have to differentiate moving and not moving? Well, if we're going to do that, I think it needs to be much more serious when moving. I think $615 is a pretty good thing. What is this? Illegal. What is somebody are ridesters? Are ridstars? What are ridestars? Ridstars. I don't know what that is. But please don't spam. You've asked it like 7 times, which I shouldn't really be acknowledging you because you've asked so many times. So don't spam. Are there any laws that I think are too harsh? I like none that are traffic related. Actually, I don't even know if we have any laws that are too harsh. I do not think that people who beat up the bad guy should get charged. Honestly, I think if you I watched a video today where a guy was running out of his jewelry store after being robbed by a number of thugs, and he had a baseball bat in his hand, and I think he threw it at a car. I anticipate or watch that going, oh, that guy's going to get charged. And I think that guy should be able to pummel those pieces of crap who stole from him, and should get a medal and not a charge. But that's not the Canada we live in. And I think that person would be charged, which is terrible. But I don't think there's any. I don't know of any charges that I don't support. I'm very, 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 very supportive of protecting your family. But I think that the laws that are out there are to protect everyone's family. So I can't think of anything offhand. But if throw things that you think are too harsh, like the one for cell phone. If you have any laws that you think are too harsh, let me know. And it goes for everybody, not just 4 kids in a Porsche. What do you think is too harsh when it comes to laws with consequences? Now, first of all, I think that I don't think we have any laws that are that have consequences that are deployed or utilized enough that we have to worry about it, because I don't understand. Like, most of our criminals don't see the inside of a jail cell, so those laws aren't serious. But the ones for the average Joe, well, they get the full tilt. My friend's dad is currently before the courts because they made a left turn and hit a pedestrian, which is not good. But they went after them for like a 15 or 15 plus months of driving suspension, and they wanted to go after them for a more serious careless driving charge. And I'm shocked because that's not even like that's usually just a ticket in Toronto, but this is not in Toronto, and they've gone hardcore. So here's a guy that I don't think needs to be charged that heavily when we're busy letting thugs out. But we're gonna jam this guy anyway. Um, what's this? We got Brian. Okay, are cops protected by castle law? Castle law Castle law has to be interpreted. You have to understand that there's uh, a stand your ground law, which is sometimes misinterpreted as castle law. Castle law in Florida is different. Every state has a different interpretation of it. But essentially, it means that when you're in your home or your vehicle, in most places, that you don't have to retreat, that you don't have to, that you can defend yourself. And really, do we not have that already? I mean, there should be some level of trying to disengage, but I'm sorry, most people in their homes, they're not gonna try and get away from their home. They're gonna protect the people that are in it. So, should we have castle laws? Should we have a Second Amendment? These are all interesting things. That was in Grimsby, the guy with the bat? No, it wasn't. It was in North York. It was at Leslie and York Mills. I recognize them all. Unless oh, you're talking about Grimsby, the guy. So, okay, we're talking about BJ. We're talking about different cases. I was talking about like a jewelry store robbery, 3-on-1. You're talking about a guy at a grocery store or a variety store where he chased the guy down and beat his ass with a bat. No, I'm talking about a guy where three guys got away and he threw the bat and he hit somebody else's parked Honda. It wasn't even involved. It just got beat up. What is this? Let's see here. IDD5 says, "Are you saying handheld should be something done under part 3?" I think that, handheld in a moving vehicle should be a 104. Yeah, it should be a, I think we should impound the vehicle and suspend a license. If you're driving while texting, if you're I saw a guy today. Mind you, he was in a Tesla. He was lying down. I have no idea how he was getting this thing to acknowledge that he was looking at the road because he had his arms stretched out above his head in a reclined position. He had one foot up on the center console, which may be how he was, touching the steering wheel every once in a while. That guy, if he had a cell phone, I would just take the cake. That guy needs to be suspended. But anyway, okay. Brazy says, "Do most cops recognize the 5% tint but not bother pulling you over?" Um, I couldn't tell you what most cops do. And 5% tint, I don't know where you're going with this. 5% tint either means 5% light getting through or 5% of light being restricted. Now, 5% light being restricted would be 95% light getting through and totally legal on the windows other than the windshield. If you're talking about 95% tint blockage or light blockage, well, that's illegal. If I saw that, I would have done. I think most cops, if they notice it, would pull you over. Real Hunt wants to know if they can completely obstruct the rear windows of the truck. As long as you have a clear view to the rear of the vehicle by way of the side mirrors, it's not illegal in Ontario to not be able to see out the back of a truck or car for that matter. There is a potential charge, but that's if you didn't have a clear view. I would defend. Let me put it this way: if you got charged for obscuring or obstructing the rear view, um, I would use a defensive. I have two mirrors that are properly adjusted and can see behind me. And you would then want to know how panel vehicles or cargo vehicles that don't have rear windows get away with it, right? I don't think you'd be convicted. Rob says, driving an unplated car, insured and under my name, what's the fine? You failed to apply for a plate. Are you trying to look for an excuse to do it? Why would you do it? First of all, how do you insure an unplated vehicle for the road? You can't. Your vehicle needs a license. You can insure it for theft and fire. That's not legal. So how do you have an unplated vehicle? Please give me more, Rob. I'd like to understand your scenario. It's not as simple uh, as simply I've taken the plates off. Why would you do that? Strong beard game officer with a salute emoji from Rick Grimes. Thanks, Rick. Okay. Oh, BJ says they drove a truck through a jewelry store. The jewelry store owner smashed the windshield. I think there's a different. Oh, you're talking about yet another different one. These brazen thefts need to stop. And see, this is where I think armed guards would be wonderful. I think every jewelry store needs them at this point. Or as somebody said in the comments, why do they even have jewelry available? We'll order. You look at the fake piece, and we'll order you one, and we'll get it to you. I think that would be a better way to go. These crooks, need to be, um, made an example of. Like corporal punishment. Maybe they should make big rocks into little rocks. Brian Max, what's going on? Brian says, too harsh. Well, it appears the rules around Toronto speed camera tickets are constructed to overrule the Highway Traffic Act, but I'm not finished with that situation. So what do you mean? Brother, man, I want to know. I don't know. Like the it appears that the rules around Toronto speed camera tickets are constructed to overrule the HTA. I'm trying to understand the context of what you mean. The HTA was rewritten to accommodate those charges. It's not the same speeding ticket. So if you get charged under a camera fine, it's under a different section of the HTA than speeding, um, which allows them to write the ticket to the registered owner's responsibility. And there's a number of charges. So you have red light camera speeding. You've also got failing to stop for a school bus. Those are the three charges that are modified under the HTA. Well, separate charges, new lines or sections that accommodate owner responsibility. So maybe that's what we're talking about. Oh, Bernhardt's here, who says he's got a dad joke. I didn't see the dad joke. What are we doing for time? We're at 50. Oh my goodness, we're almost at an hour. Okay. Melody says, just need someone. Oh, Ethan said, maybe you need a regular and concave mirror. And Melody says, nope, just two standard mirrors. And Don Thompson says, yes, we should have cast a law. You enter my property, you lose all rights. I'm all for that. Like the concept that someone could break into my home, and if I didn't do, like you can't have booby traps. But if you forgot, like you were doing renovations and you didn't put a railing around the hole in the middle of your floor, and the guy fell down and broke his ankle, or worse, you could be held responsible. I don't think that's right. I think if you break into my home, you are taking your life in your hands. I think that is what should happen. I think you should be lucky if you survive, but that's just me. 250 and in a 40, what's the fine? It's criminal dangerous driving, it's stunt driving, $2 to $10,000 fine, up to 6 months in jail, 1 to 3 year driving prohibition on the first conviction. The criminal side of it's separate, and I don't know what the judge would impose, but I think that if you do 250 and a 40, that's where the big hand should slap you in the face. And possibly take all your teeth out. There's nobody. The 250 and a 40 is ridiculous. And I know you're saying for the purposes of the conversation, but I just that person maybe yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to go there, but that person needs to have their life reorganized. Uh, Dolzy question is: are first time offenses more forgiven in court, or is that a myth? Every situation is taken on its own. I couldn't say what the rule is because I don't know if there is a rule. It's possible that if it's your first time offense and you say, I'm really sorry, it's my first time, and they see your driving record, that you would have a more lenient, response um, from the justice as opposed to if you had a lengthy record. So, yeah. Oh, Melody says you can insure an unplated vehicle to allow getting it licensed. Okay, you have insurance policy but that wouldn't allow you to drive it on the road without a temporary plate. So what I'm trying to think of the situation, but thank you, Melody, for making that, bringing that piece of sense into the conversation. I don't have an answer for what the charge is offhand for driving without a plate, other than the $110 for not applying for one. But if it was unsafe, why would you drive with? You still can't drive the vehicle on the road without a plate. So Rob says, I transfer the vehicle unplated under my name, also insured. So at very least, $110 for driving without a plate. Failure to display plates, $110. Failure to apply for plates, $110. Yeah, don't do that. You're $220 before you start going, and that's without looking into it farther. Mr. Steak, what's going on, brother? Good to see you. I argue. What is this? Oh, Real Hunt says someone. What province are you in, Real Hunt? Because apparently, Real Hunt got charged for not having his doors on. Claimed it was because the doors are. He claimed it's. What is this? He argued he wasn't. You argued that your doors are. I'm so confused. You got a ticket for not having your doors and they were removable. You were in a Jeep or a Bronco. Maybe in certain provinces it is illegal. Okay. Ethan Hurst says, "What has to be modified for a vehicle's plates to be pulled? It has to be an unsafe motor vehicle. It's not just so it has to be classified as unsafe, or for your plates not to be like the plates not to be for that vehicle. It depends on what the if you're just talking about modification though, it has to be modified to a degree that would require that would consider the vehicle unsafe for the road, and that could be tint. So if you tint your windows beyond a safe limit, I'll pull your plates, or I would if I was a cop. Is it illegal to drink soup while driving? It's careless. It is careless. Now, if you're drinking it out of a thermos through a straw, which would burn, that would be legal. That would. Clearview Solutions, how you doing? I remember talking to you earlier, like way, way long ago. Let's see here. Brian says, I know, too obscure. But in short, on the section of road, the speed limit sign is obscured, which is contrary to the HTA. The city's dispute process essentially does not recognize the HTA. Oh, you're saying that they're not. So the requirement to have a sign acknowledging that the requirement to have a sign notifying drivers that there is a system in place to or a camera in place to do enforcement. Yes, that would be a clear defense. So you'd circle back, take a picture. If you ever get a ticket, go circle back and you make sure that you collect evidence, because that should get it thrown out of court, because I don't agree with it. I don't think that there should be a warning, but it does say. And Brian goes on to say, it's pretty clear that the process hasn't been challenged by a higher court. It's interesting. It's minor traffic. So, yeah, maybe they did have a situation where there was a problem with people getting tickets for super high speed. Like there was something challenged and it was dropped. But I don't remember the details in that one. Okay. We got here. What was modified? Okay. Ethan wants to know if your doors were off. Is it illegal? We talked about that. Oh, thanks, Jay, for I think it's Jay, who shared the live with more than 5 friends. Much appreciated. That was the asker of the soup while driving question. And A. Jason says, I thought it would be failure to display. Yes. So failure to display plates would be one of them, but it could be more. Soup in a cup. Soup in a cup, if you're drinking it, wouldn't be illegal. It's like drinking coffee. Soup in a cup with a spoon could be careless. Is it safe to take my UFO for a ride in the night? Depends on your altitude, I think. Unidentified flying object. Jay says, what about a big hot bowl of soup from Chris? Yeah, I don't know about that. But Tracy's now saying, please stop spamming the soup question. Let's see here. Am I allowed to drink my morning soup during driving if I had time during breakfast? My goodness, the questions about this soup business, well, they're not that good. But I think we've covered soup to the point where I don't want to see soup for a while. Okay. Dad jokes being logged. We got a dad joke from Bernhard. If you got a dad joke, by all means, throw it into the mix. We'll read the dad joke. All right, Mr. Take. Let's see here. Can I go 120 in the left lane? Not legally, no. Okay. Sean, are you Canadian? That's from Jared Lewis Davidson. I am Canadian. I just got back from the United States today, though, but I am Canadian. What's this? Thank you for the roses, Jared. Oh, Jay wants to know if I know Jason from 42 division. I can't say that I do. I might, but I don't know them. But not by name. Maybe I know them by their FAS. Okay. Scrolling. If you're just jumping in, you're like, who is this guy? My name is Sean Chappelle. I'm a former police officer who talks about traffic safety, traffic law, and police stuff. And we're about to talk about e-bikes because Spalia one says thoughts on blitz on e-bikes and e-scooters. Efficient? Would it be efficient as riders can get away? Listen, it's an education campaign from what I read on their news brief, and they're trying to explain what the rules are. People are really confused about these vehicles. That's not even getting into, and I think the real gap in this messaging that they've got going is they're not talking about these air conditioned mobility vehicles, the mobility scooters that aren't mobility scooters that are illegal. I think there's a lot of room to cover and explain, but there's a ton of violators. So it's good that they're doing something. I think they can do more though. I think they need much harder, yeah, or harsher enforcement, which two kids in a Porsche probably doesn't agree with. But I think we need to go after the people who are breaking the rules. Uh, how do I join the ETF Army unit of the Toronto Police? Well, the ETF is the tactical unit, the emergency. What's it called? Um, oh my god, I said tactical. Now I blew. Task force, not tactical. They're a tactical unit. They're emergency task force. They're not the army unit. But I like that. Maybe I call them up, my buddies that are in that unit, and say, "Hey, did you know you're in the army unit? That's awesome." And there's no plate identification to verify rider. Yeah, the issue with the e-bikes are I think that's been widely abused. Do police officers give you a ticket if you just drive 10 or slightly above? It's up to the police officer. You're breaking the law at 1 kilometer over. Are they going to write you the ticket? It's up to the officer. They may have a bone to pick with people who break the law, and even at small numbers. I can tell you that I didn't bother anybody at 10 over because I had so many people at 15 and 20 over to contend with. It would have to be 10 over in a 30 zone. I would pull someone over for. Sean the Legend, that's from 21 Savage. A Jason says, can YRP heli enter the Toronto Pearson airspace? I don't know the details on that. I know that we definitely call surrounding police jurisdictions to ask for assistance when there's assistance required. Now there's a multi like the provincial government gave money to buy helicopters, and the Toronto police are involved with that in some way. They were looking for officers to go and work in that unit, and so there's definitely some crossover. They're helping each other, and they would just share the costs. But I don't know YRP in particular. I would assume that they fly wherever they're allowed to fly because they're flying machines. Turning left on an advanced left turn, turned a little wide into the right lane. Another vehicle turns without stopping at a red light and clips vehicle making left turn. Who's at fault? We are both at fault for different things. If you went wide, you made an improper turn. If they ran a red light, they ran a red light. You could both be held accountable for the thing you did to contribute to the collision that resulted. Um, Not stopping at a red light obviously is an issue. Fail to for stop at red light is a more serious offense than improper turn. I would say the majority of the fault would lie on the person who ran the red light, but you have to be able to prove it. That's the problem. If you don't have a dash camera, how do you prove it? Get a dash camera. And if you go to askatrafficcop.ca, there's actually a link with Amazon affiliate links, and you can help support the Canadian Organization for Better Traffic Safety and Education by going and using a link to buy a camera there, a dash camera. There's two of them there that I suggest. Buy whatever works and buy whatever you can afford, but buy something. Okay. Time. An hour and 9 minutes. We'll go for a few more. I try to keep this to an hour. It never works. What do we got here? Courtney says, feels like 30 over is becoming acceptable. It is not acceptable, but you're right. The average person has become accustomed to breaking the law and doing it at such a level that 30 kilometers an hour is being what everyone seems to do. It ain't cool. It's not safe. In fact, it's incredibly unsafe. Every 5 kilometers you increase, they say you double your chances of collision. I can tell you that in my drive back from the States today, the number of times that at the speed limit I had to hit the brakes because the people in front were doing weird and wonderful things and not consistently driving. It's a good thing that I leave a sufficient or a very healthy margin or space in front of me because I needed that space. Now, if I was going faster, I would have collided with the vehicle in front of me. You have to drive the appropriate speed. That's just it. Are clear taillights legal if you keep factory red reflectors on the bumper? You cannot project white light rear. You can only have amber or red rear. Now, if you have a clear lens, but the bulb is red, that is legal. Um, from my understanding, at least from a police perspective, from a safety perspective, Melody might be able to chime in if she's still here. Because as a mechanic, she may not be happy with that. But I know there's manufacturers who have pretty funky looking stuff. James or Canada says, I think all Ontario occupants should sign up for Canada's worst drivers. That's a thing. Yeah. Is that show coming back? We need it. We need that show back. I can host that show. Okay. Parking lot and picking up my plates later is what is it? Parking lot. If I sell a car to somebody but leave my plates on it until they get plates and leave it in a parking lot and pick up my plate, I would not want to sell a car and hand over the keys with my plates on it because two things are true. One, they may drive without insurance and your plates are the ones on it. There's nothing to say you sold it until it's transferred to ownership. You're going to be in trouble. And if they do get into a crash and it's still in your name, you're going to be responsible for towing, safe, and storage. So that's not cool. Not to mention any charges that they want to pay. Yeah, don't do that. Can I have a non-alcoholic Heineken when driving? Sure, it's non-alcoholic. Now, you'll probably get pulled over because it looks alcoholic, but you wouldn't and shouldn't be charged for driving a non-alcoholic beverage. Spolly One says off-road dirt bikes versus e-bikes on main roads. So in off-road dirt bike is a motorcycle. An e-bike that qualifies as an e-bike that is compliant with the law is an e-bike, and those can be on roads, but the off-road dirt bike cannot. Am I allowed to throw my drink out the window? Only the liquid, just in case I don't want my soup. He's really on the soup fix. I've poured water out my window. No offense that I'm aware of. What TPS division was I in? I was in traffic services. I was in the I was a motor squad officer until I got injured in 2018. Then I was in the I was Jeep platoon, and then I ended up going into the traffic safety programs office, which is the traffic safety education office. Okay. Scrolling. But Tracy, you're a moderator. If you want Jay to stop, just stop him. Just mute him. Uh, QWERTY says, "Hi, Sean, bylaw officer in Vancouver. Any comments in applying to OPP from BC?" No, I mean, I've heard many people who transfer or move from other provinces. I don't think there's any issues there. I've got no comments. I never worked for the OPP. I don't know if they have an issue with the process. I think that all police services will accommodate you and try and get all your testing and interviews in one day because you're coming from out of town. So that's something. How do you determine if someone's at fault if they brake check you, but you don't have a camera? Good luck. That's why I say you should get a camera. Okay. What's the law about lowering your car? You can't rub fenders. Well, you can't have any portion of the frame or fender touch your tire at any rotation, and you have to have a functional suspension system. If we compress your suspension and there's rub, that's a problem. But there's also a minimum and a maximum height that your headlights, center of your headlights, can be to the ground. So there's a bunch of things going on. And at the end of the day, if you have to ask if is it too low, it's probably too low. How can that guy in Lindsay be charged if he used less force than the guy who broke into his house? I don't agree with it. Did I ever work at 42 Division? I did not. Can you change lanes passing an intersection? You can technically change lanes within an intersection. It's not illegal, but it is unsafe and it could result in a collision, which you might be then faulted for, depending on how it went down. It all depends. It's Smooth says, if I turned right on a red and then turned left into a gas station, then hopped back on the road. Depends on if you did that all safely. If you can do it safely and didn't violate any laws, there's nothing against it. It's not running a red. No, running a red means crossing the painted line or stop bar, crossing the crosswalk without stopping on a red light. If you came to a complete stop, made the right turn legally, made a U turn legally, and so on, it's okay. James or Candace wants to know if I retired. I retired from policing. I didn't retire in reality. I'm now a entrepreneur, and this is something I do because I enjoy doing it, not because it's a business. It is very much a not-for-profit organization that's been created with the intention of making roads safer through education. However, I'm involved in a whole bunch of other things that are completely unrelated. James says cameras make people nervous. Only people who have something to hide. That's not true. People get nervous because they're worried about looking good or not looking bad. Do the ETF teams train with the LAPD SWAT? I have no idea. I don't think that they do. That doesn't seem like a good idea. Are there any HTA infractions regarding ground effects on a motor vehicle? Ground effects being what? The fender flares and things that would potentially cause clearance to wheels or the vehicle over like speed bumps. So I've seen a lot of ground effects. I think you're talking about additional body parts. I'm not anything. I don't know of anything specific. In fact, ground effects or extended fender flares are good if you've got oversized tires because you have to cover them. Okay, scrolling through. If I'm towing my boat, do I need the ownership of the trailer? You're supposed to have the registration of the trailer, and it should be plated. Yeah. Ah, Melody says we were going to revisit the child seats in front seat of trucks and sports cars conversation. So, Melody, thank you for bringing that up and reminding me. Melody did some digging, and we had talked at some length about the fact that you can't disable a, an airbag, and that most of the time that this is triggered by way of a sensor on the front seat to know whether or not there's enough weight to deploy it. However, Melody looked into it, and with General Motors vehicles like the Corvette and single, whatchamacallit, pickup trucks with a single bench, there is a way to disable those airbags even today. And I was told that it wasn't happening anymore because the US stopped allowing it, but that's not the case. So it is now available only in specific vehicles, similar to that of or like two-door sport cars, where you cannot put the child in the back seat. There's no option. So that's very cool to know because at a certain size, there is actually a violation for putting a child too close to an airbag. I think that's great though. I was told it was just no longer possible, so I really appreciate Melody looking into it. So cool thing that I learned that you can still use a key disable switch in certain vehicles. Okay, are there laws of having a camera in such as an Insta 360 mounted on your motorcycle in place of a dash? Oh, in place of a dash. So as long as you're mounting it to the motorcycle and not the helmet, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Um, yeah, I can see people getting hurt potentially by certain placements, getting impaled on the pole, but at the same time, um, the deal is helmets regulated. Putting it on your motorcycle really isn't. So I think you're good. And having a dash camera is a great way to cover, like, or a 360 camera is a great way to get good content and protect yourself. What is this? Why don't police have the discretion to issue a court date for a self defense situation? Why arrest? Well, even when you arrest, even if you do release them there, if you're arresting them and charging them criminally, you're arresting and you're releasing them at the scene for an offense. So you could, you don't have to take them into to the station necessarily. It depends on the situation, but you can release someone at the scene if there's no reason to hold them. Now it depends the situation. What is this? Slavish says, "Nice beard, Pilgrim." Thanks, and thank you, not a firefighter who sent a bunch of gifts. I appreciate it. Steve Owens, is it legal? Is it legal to travel with a dog secured on the front passenger seat? Yes, it is legal to secure them by tether or crate in your vehicle. Back seat is best, even for dogs. Crate is preferred over tether, but tether still works. What is this? Thieves disable front airbags deployment for chases. Insurance writes off the vehicle for that. Interesting. What is this? Oh, So people that see a camera, they get upset. Like cameras are just the best thing ever when you're dealing with vehicles, I think. Jay Sutter joins, says, thanks for your advice on the situational interview for comms for the job. And we're in class currently. Amazing. Jay Sutter wants to know how retired life is. And I got to say, it's pretty good. I like having control of my day. Kevin Zine says, hello, Sean. Is there any HTA infractions regarding we talked about that already. Lighting underneath the vehicles in specific. So here's the deal: if the light under the vehicle has bulbs visible from the side, they could be charges laid in terms of projecting light in a direction that is not lawful. Like you can't project anything other than white or amber forward or amber and red backwards. So if your ground effects lighting were to have bulbs that were poorly installed too low and the bulbs were visible, you could be violating those laws. And if you are, that said, if you put them way up in the underbody of the car, undercarriage of the car, and all you have is light reflecting off the ground, I would say that is not an issue. However, others have disagreed with me. Crash Davis wants to know if I'm available for bachelorette parties. No, unless you want to do a Q&A about traffic law. Let's see here. Someone says, hey, if I got into a collision in Toronto, can I do a police report in New York region or no? You need to report it in the jurisdiction that it occurred. So if you are in Toronto, you can report it in Toronto. If you're in the New York region, you report it to the Collision Reporting Center in New York region. Boondocks Beard Co. What's going on, brother? By the way, I'm wearing your product right now. Boondocks Beard Co. sent me a gift pack of some beard oil and a comb. The graphite pick. I love that pick. Anyway, here's a question. My son is 8.5 and weighs 62 pounds and is 4'4". Is he allowed to sit in the front seat when driving? So there's a couple of things. First of all, there's no law requiring your 8-year-old to be in any particular seat other than the driver's seat. Can't be there. Doesn't have a license. But backseat is best until 14. But if that's not an option, or if you want to have him in the front, although it's less safe, he can be in the front. In addition, at 8 years old, he's legally old enough not to have to use a booster seat. However, based on his weight and his height, I would say a booster seat is still safer, just for aligning the seatbelt and doing that thing. So for his benefit, I would keep him in a booster seat, but he can sit anywhere. And technically speaking, 8 years old, 80 pounds, or 4'9" is any one of those three is a requirement to sit in a seat without a booster seat. So he is legal without a booster seat, but it doesn't mean that everyone who meets the criteria through age is really in a good position to be without a booster seat. So if you go to, do I have the link here? Stand by. Captions, what do I have here? There, SIPSAC. SIPSAC.org, the Child Passenger Safety Association of Canada. They've got some stuff some resources you can look at online and see what's up and see what's appropriate. They've got some tests like this. If they can sit with their butt planted at the crease of the seat and their legs go over the front of the seat and bend, so they're not having the legs straight out, that could be an indication that they're of the appropriate height. Anyway, make sure you do some check-in as to where they should go. Hayes makes a good point. If you go in public, you're on camera, get used to it. Absolutely. What do we got here? Neha says, good evening. How's the IHOP omelets going? Yes, I am good. I am good with the IHOP omelets now that I know that you ask for no splash of pancake batter. I don't want any of that. And Boondocks Beard Co., you're very welcome. What do we got here? Too much pancake. All right. Do I need my 1A to drive a triaxle with a grain box mount? I have no idea, brother. I don't know anything about farm equipment. I do not know. All right, let's have a look here. I need to see what other questions we got because I want to wrap up and say good night. Because I'm going to be back again at 10 a.m. tomorrow doing this live stream again. And at 10:35, I'll be joined by Jerry Yeager on News Talk 1010. What I am curious about is how did the video look? Was it shaky? Because I know with the laptop, it seemed to get bogged down. But this is an M4 processor in this unit, and I think it will really perform well. It's one I'm borrowing, but I think that I may have to just go out and buy one. I think that's a thing that I got to do. What do we got here? Former coworker ticketed for doing 7 kilometers an hour in a 40 zone on the first day of school. Sean, please remind everyone that school is back in the next week on Tuesday. Yes, yes. We are about to change the whole world. And we'll talk about this tomorrow a lot more. But the deal is if you are driving in a school zone, not only do you have to follow the law, but you have to know that the kids do the darndest things. There used to be a TV show about it. And if you are going to put the lives, like, aside from the law, you're putting kids at risk. Not cool. Follow the law. If you're not going to follow it other places, that's up to you, but follow it in school zones because we're going to be out there. I say we like I'm still there. The police are going to be out there enforcing the rules because they need to be enforced. We're talking about protect the whole speed limit thing. These reductions from down to 40 and 30 are there to protect vulnerable road users like the kids, the elderly, the people who are on the roads or may, not have the best judgment and run after a ball that's bouncing. You know, let's look out for them. Thank you for the reminder, Liz. Brandon's calling it a night, and so am I, because we do this for an hour and 25 minutes. I got a dad joke, a single dad joke. And Melody says, "Oh, school bus is slowing down my morning again." Well, I don't have that problem. I don't have to go anywhere. My office is right here. All right. What is this? Okay, one we got from Yugal Shah says, "Why car driver honks me if there's no sign for bicycle line and I'm on my electric scooter on the 2-lane road? Is it not allowed to go on the road? Where should I ride my scooter, on the walkway?" Well, let me ask you, are you in the city of Toronto? Because then there is a law saying you can't use it anywhere in the city of Toronto. They're illegal. And if you're on the road and you're not staying to the right and you're holding up traffic, that's illegal too, even if it is allowed. So it depends on what jurisdiction you're in. Go look it up. Look up all the rules that bicycles have to follow because as an e-kick scooter rider or an e-bike rider, you got to follow all those rules. Now, when it comes to whether or not they're legal, that's a different story. It depends on the jurisdiction. So make sure you're doing the right thing. Although many people just don't seem to care. All right. I'm calling it quits. Dad joke. 800-watt motor scooter. It's illegal. Okay. Dad joke. Where'd it go? Did you hear about the bossy guy who walked into a bar and ordered everyone around? With the music playing, the sound effects didn't do well. Listen, have a great night. Drive safe, drive sober. I'll be back tomorrow at 10 a.m. You should join me when I join. I do the live stream, and then at 10:35, I'll be joined by Jerry Ager on News Talk 1010. We'll be live on the air in Toronto. See you then. Have a good night. Can I get a speeding ticket in my helicopter? I don't know. But of course, I actually want a helicopter, and a license to fly it. Is it a license or a permit? It's a pilot's license. A license. Have a good night.